Coming up on today's episode of Work It Out with Lauri, I'm going to be covering emotional manipulation, breadcrumbing, and some strategies to overcome them both.
Join us for that and more on episode 7 of Work It Out with Lauri.
Howdy, WBP crew. Welcome to Work It Out with Lauri, the no-nonsense show for anyone navigating workplace bullying, chaos, or straight-up dysfunction. I'm Lauri Lillie, your host. I'm here to help you make sense of all the drama you're experiencing at work.
And I'm Cosmo Esplin, Sir Showrunner and your backstage guide, directly providing Lauri with your questions and workplace dilemmas so you get the practical solutions you need. So what do you say? Let's work it out. Greetings once again, WBP fans and Work It Out tune-ins. I am Cosmo Esplin with your host today, yesterday, and tomorrow, Lauri Lillie.
Thanks, Cosmo. Looking forward to getting into it.
Yeah, so we have a brand new question here that we're going to focus on today. So let's get right into it. What do you say?
Go for it. Bring it.
All right, so this person wishes to remain anonymous, but he or she says, quote, "What do you do when your company is breadcrumbing you for years with the promise of a promotion? They take steps to assure it is happening, and it appears it will happen, but then it never comes to fruition. Lots of talk, no real action to back it up." So, Lauri, I think this is probably a pretty common experience for a lot of people, unfortunately. What's your reaction?
Ooh, this is a big one, and it's a little bit heart-wrenching, actually, particularly given the fact that this individual is saying this has been going on for years. That's painful. We can address this a couple of different ways. The first thing is, just right off the top, I say this often, and anyone listening, write it on a Post-it note. Actions speak louder than words, and patterns of actions
are where the truth exists.
That's right.
Boom.
Cosmo knows it. He hears me say it all the time.
It's a good adage, though. It's very true.
Patterns are telling the story. Unfortunately, they're giving you a message. And we'll get into that in a second. But first, I just want to talk about, what is this? This is breadcrumbing, and this is emotional manipulation, both of which fall under what could be considered covert bullying tactics. They're dangling this little bit of hope for the employee to hang on to. It keeps them emotionally engaged, compliant, right? Someone who's trying to secure a promotion is going to be on top of their game, right? Always looking to produce the best, work deliverables, come through for them in a pinch.
Hard worker, basically.
A really hard worker.
Compliant, by the way, sorry to interrupt, but that's an important point, too, because, I mean, if they're looking at being promoted, then they are very much in line with the company most of the time, I'm sure, and not really like a dissident or speaking out against things.
That's right.
They're not like some threat of any kind.
That's right. They're just staying in their lane. They're working hard, probably overworking, and trying to constantly prove themselves through their work deliverables. And again, we don't know what this person does for a living. Imagine, if you're listening, what you have to do to secure a promotion. And this is going on for years. This is utterly exhausting. So we have the breadcrumbing. They're offering just these little bits along the way just to keep them looking for more, right? They're needing more of that praise, needing more of whatever the employer is crumbing them, those crumbs. Then they're moving the goalposts, which is also really irritating, as well as annoying and unprofessional. That's not right. That's not very ethical of an employer to do this. Typically, if a position is available and readily available, and they're having conversations with someone about that promotion and that job move, it should be available. It should be very close to being, maybe final little details might need to be put in place, but that they're working diligently. It's very clear that the position is available. It certainly takes the wind out of a person's sails. It can be really soul-crushing to realize over time it's natural to start wondering, well, does my employer value me? They're telling me that I've got the chops for this promotion, but yet again, there's that disparity between action and words and patterns. And this is what is legitimately gaslighting. It's that emotional manipulation over time. It's a campaign. And they are doing this to keep this person compliant, working, really working, showing up to prove themselves time and time and time again. And the employer, they're not having to prove anything. They get to just come to another meeting and say, yeah, it's in the works. Appreciate your patience. I know X, Y, and Z, and it's all gaslighting. They're switching the story. They're changing the arrangement or what was agreed upon between the parties. And over time, it can lead to a disillusionment. Of course, a complete lack of motivation. Why would a person want to continue to show up day in and day out when they've betrayed you? It's a betrayal. So, what do we do in this situation? I always call on a concept called radical acknowledgement. The actual phrase is radical acceptance.
We're changing it to RADAC, though.
Yeah, I don't like radical acceptance, so I call it radical acknowledgement. When something is going on for a long time, again, with the gaslighting and the manipulation, we're in an alternate reality. It can feel really bizarre. Like, what's going on? Am I imagining things? Have I made this all up that I'm being strung along? Or is this real? It can really mess with your brain. It really is confusing. So I suggest to folks that they first start with radical acknowledgement. And what I always tell my clients, and it's a silly little thing, but I say, imagine there's a bird, a little birdie on a perch, up above, looking down on your life. And they're reporting to you with blatant honesty. What is the birdie telling you about this situation? What is the birdie sharing about how long this has been going on and what they're sharing with you and what you are doing as well? Listen to what the birdie is saying. Write it down and then acknowledge it. So that's step number one. We need to get to a place of acknowledgement before we can take any other action moving forward.
Got to listen to that birdie.
Listen to the birdie.
Yeah.
Okay, this person's been in this for years. Very upsetting. Number one, the next time they get to a meeting, the conversation needs to be very direct. What has happened to this point? For the person who is listening, write down all of the things that have been done to this point, every meeting you've had, every promise that they've shared, every little tidbit of information they've discussed with you, write it down. Come to this next meeting prepared to have a very direct conversation and get on the same page. And by getting on the same page, you're going to say, these are the things that have been discussed about this promotion. My understanding was that this was to have taken place years ago, whatever you want to say there. I want to understand what barriers are in place that's preventing this position from coming to fruition, because my understanding is that based on my performance and based on my work deliverables, which are above average, have been praised, I've received awards, whatever, fill in the blanks there, that this promotion was waiting for me and it was mine. So please help me understand where there is a gap in understanding and what needs to be done at this point. What exact steps do we need to take, either I need to take or you need to take, to bridge this gap between where I am now, which is in the same position I've had for years, being told about a promotion, and actually achieving the promotion. And then what you're going to do is you're going to hold them to it by understanding what the timeline is. You're going to repeat everything back to this person or persons you're in this meeting with. And then after this meeting is over, you're immediately going to write up an email, very professional as you always are, and indicate exactly what was discussed. And by the way, I should say, before you get out of that meeting, you're going to schedule the next meeting, because the steps will have been outlined about what needs to happen. And do not ever leave a meeting like this without getting another one on the calendar. It has to happen right then and there. Otherwise, these people, They're master manipulators, and they're just going to continue to dangle and, oh, yeah, no, gosh, we're not ready to have that conversation. Let's kick it down the curb. Nope. This is where you're going to kind of have to be pretty hard-lined in terms of directness and asking in boundaries. So you're documenting everything. You're sending the email. And then I think at this point, depending on what was said in this conversation, remember the little birdie? Go back to the birdie.
We love the little birdie.
Yes, the birdie. What is the birdie telling you about your value and whether or not you are being appropriately valued at this organization? What is the birdie saying to you?
This is more than just a parrot. This birdie knows how to talk.
Yeah, this birdie's got the goods. You really need to listen in and take stock about what you feel you deserve and if this employer is properly valuing you and your skill set. And if not, it's time to start creating an exit strategy. Because in the long run, emotional manipulation, the gaslighting, the breadcrumbing, the moving the goalposts, all of these things, it's bullying. And that is going to lead to some form of harm in and of itself, but also the impact on one's confidence and self-esteem and self-worth over time, but surely that's left a negative impact. It's time to start exploring other opportunities. I suggest getting support from a workplace bullying expert, right?
Hint, hint.
Right? And working on your confidence and working on some upskilling and working on your self-worth and self-esteem and feeling better about yourself, because this surely will have anyone beaten down. Remember what you're worth. Even with this job market, there are employers who are going to recognize you, appreciate you, and celebrate your skills and your talents and competencies. This person who wrote this question in needs to decide at what point is it enough? At what point have they waited long enough? At what point have they been manipulated enough? And what's the threshold? I submit to you, with years, the threshold has been met long ago.
It's been breached.
Yes, and it's time to immediately start creating an exit strategy and also stop with the overwork that is so common when you're trying to get a promotion. Stop with the 100% compliance. Do your job and do it well, because that in and of itself is going to build your confidence. You got to keep it moving. Keep them accountable to whatever was discussed in the meeting. Continue to follow up in email form so everyone's aligned on what was discussed. This employer and this imposter leaders, whomever's involved in this sound like they are going to continue this into perpetuity, and more harm will be done.
So that is how you rebel against the emotional manipulation tactics present possibly at your workplace and pick up the breadcrumbs. I presume that's a Hansel and Gretel reference.
Could be.
I mean, I'm not a salad person personally.
Huh?
You've probably heard the term dangling the carrot before.
It's the same thing.
What's with all the salad analogies, though? Like, can we do, like, cupcake pieces or something like that? That would be more... I would appreciate that more.
I like
but
your sense of humor, Cosmo.
Anyway, so that is how you quash those breadcrumbs. Don't sprinkle them in your salad anymore. Instead, reach out to Lauri if you're interested in scheduling a free consultation. But until then, thank you for providing this free service to everyone, Lauri.
Yes, anytime. Great. This was a great question. Appreciate it. Thanks so much for tuning in to Work It Out with Lauri. If today's episode hit home at all, please share it with someone who needs it. And please remember, you deserve to work in peace.
And remember to follow this podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Substack. Plus, send us your story or your question at workplacebullyingproject.com.
We'll see you next time, and we'll work it out together.